I'm delighted to welcome to the First Time Facilitator podcast, Juan Daniel Sobrado, who's joining us in Madrid, I believe. Juanda, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Leanne. I'm very happy.
Of course, I had to invite you. Just before we hit the record button, I was just saying to Juanda that, and I excuse my lack of Spanish skills and pronunciation for anyone listening as well, but just talking about how you discovered the podcast and then it's like you exploded onto the scene, you joined the Flipchart, you've added so much value in that group. And you're also doing something very similar over in Spain with your podcast as well. I was wondering if you could quickly share with listeners how you discovered the world of facilitation, because you've come down a different path like many of the guests on this podcast.
I discovered in the company where I work. I'm biomedical engineer, but now I'm marketing and sales manager. I started in the company doing some trainings for internal employees and also for the surgeons that we train using those machines in the operating room. This is how I discovered the world of facilitation and training.
Fantastic. So you found it within your internal role. What were people thinking when you left engineering? Were they like, you're crazy, you spent all that time studying and very technical role, and now you've moved to sales and marketing. How did you get the confidence to do that? What were people saying when you made that decision?
Yeah, for me, it has been a natural evolution. I started as a clinical specialist in the operating room, supporting the surgeons in the brain shortages with our machines, and then I moved to sales because I like it also this world of the sales. And then I saw the opportunity to move to marketing, and now I started last year as manager. So I'm always looking for the next challenge. So for me, it was like a natural evolution. It was not traumatic.
Yeah, that's what I love. I love
probably only for my mom.
Yeah. It's funny because parents are very like, hey, you studied this at university. Like, why are you doing something completely different? But it's such a different world now, isn't it?
Yeah, and now with the podcast, she is completely lost. Well, what are you doing recording and interviewing people? But you are a marketing engineer. What are you doing? Forget about that. I'm enjoying. I'm happy. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. You seem very happy with what you're doing now. Can you share with our listeners a bit about your podcast? What compelled you to start it?
Yeah, I have a podcast about training and how to create better learning experience in Spanish. You're like my twin, so this is why I was so excited for finding your podcast also. And the point, I started this 3 years ago when my second child was born, and I was not able to sleep. So I was having a lot of time to write, and I was also thinking about doing something in digital marketing. So for me, it was the perfect. I like it a lot, training. I wanted to learn something about digital marketing and also online business. It was the perfect join. And I had time to write. So this is how I started.
That's really cool, because a lot of people, when they are sleep deprived, they're just wishing they could get back to sleep. But you saw this as an opportunity to learn and grow. And it's funny because it's funny that you mentioned like we're like twins. There's also, we're triplets. There's a third person, Miriam, in Amsterdam, who you should meet.
Yeah, I know.
Workshops. So there's the three of us. Hopefully we get some more languages and we can expand the family of training podcasts around the world. But you talk about that intersection of online business, writing, creating podcasts, and we both follow Pat Flynn. You listen to his show as well, and he's been a huge inspiration. Now, it's funny that you mention your interest in online marketing, because I was looking at your website, super impressed. I really loved your story that you talk through all your career pivots and how you discovered what you do now. And you mentioned there's a story there where you started discovering the difference between training and presenting. I was wondering if you could share with our listeners how you discovered that and what the differences really are between the two.
Yeah, for me, it was a real shock because when I started in the company doing trainings for the surgeons, and I was just doing presentations of the products and the machines that we are selling. then after 3 years, they invited me in Europe to start as internal facilitator for internal employees across Europe. And they invited me to go to a train of trainers course. Okay, I was thinking that I was a good facilitator, a good trainer, but it was completely shock because, I mean, the first question was, I remember in the workshop, the first question was, how much time do you speak during your trainings, and how much time does the attendees speak? And I said, okay, I'm always speaking.
100%.
We started to do some exercises, and I fully understand that I was doing so wrong, and I was killing so much people with my PowerPoint that I totally decided to change. And this is how I started to read many books and attend other workshops about facilitating, creating an experience, storytelling, and many things. Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, it's actually just shows the power of one question. That first question on how much time do you spend?
Yeah, for me it was like a big insight.
Yeah, like, isn't it meant to be 100%? Like looking around the room and everyone going, doesn't everyone else just? Because I was the same as a first-time facilitator. Yeah.
Yeah, especially in Spain. In Spain, the schools, in the university, the lecturing is always the educational system. So we are always learning by listening to the teacher, who is the master, who has all the knowledge, and you are just copying in your notebook, and this is how it works for all your career. And also then in the company it's also the same. So my point, also starting with the blog, was allow people to realize that there are more ways to facilitate and to do training than making presentations in PowerPoint.
Yeah, and being the total expert. And I think that's what the struggle is for first-time facilitators, particularly the fear of the credibility of other people in the room. And if we think we need to be the expert, we need to know all the studies, because I was thinking I need to memorize this research so I can, and it's not about that. And it's so reassuring now, as more experience, that you can actually let go a little bit more and have more of an equal conversation and drop that 100%. Now, Juan, your skill seems to be on the Flipchart. A lot of people ask for activity ideas, and you mentioned on your website that what you like to do, and what I would love to talk to you about today, is in workshops, a lot of the stuff that we do are activities that we've seen other people do that we like. And it seems that a lot of these activities are kind of recycled, and you see them a lot during other workshops. But you really talk about how can we create new activities. Can you share some ideas on that? Because I'd love to know, like, what inspires you for creating new activities? How do you find them? How do you draw them out?
Yeah, at the end, I mean, one of the things that I have pivot in my learning as facilitator is that at the beginning I was thinking always about the content, but I realized that you have to focus on the experience. So if you start thinking in your training about the experiences, I mean, about what the participants need to feel and need to play and need to learn in that way, in that experience, the approach is totally different. So if you start with the experience first, then you can add the content to that experience and the feedback to that experience. It's much natural, and also you assure that they will be 100 engaged in the workshop. So I mean, there you can do many things, even for public presentations. You can do activities with the public and engage with the people, and let them feel what you want to feel instead of telling or presenting.
I 100% agree. I think a lot of keynote speakers think, and absolutely, the keynote speaking presentation is meant to be like, I'm just going to speak and you're going to listen. But some of the best speeches that I've heard have included a lot of that interaction as well, whether it's just turning to the person beside you and having a conversation around a question, or standing up, or just doing something to get involved.
Yeah, sometimes, for example, I remember one conference that they were talking about. It was for parents, teaching to them that you don't have to oblige your children to give their toys to people that they don't know in the park or in the kindergarten. So this was the experience. So the speaker asked all the people to take their mobile phone and block and give to the person who is 2 seats on the near to you. So in that moment, you are creating a big experience. Everyone is feeling the anxiety of not having your favorite device, your favorite toy. So this is how your children feel when you are asking to give something to people who they don't know. So you can then give the feedback, and then you can also, if you want to add the theory or make the presentation that you have. But the experience for the participants is totally different because they have feel already something, and then you can talk about that.
Even when you mentioned that, I was thinking, if that was me, I'm like, I felt it. I was anxious. I'm like, no one's going through, like, no stranger is going to have my phone, like, especially unlocked. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my heart. That's really powerful. Yeah. So, I mean, do you have any favorite activities? I know I'm putting you on the spot here. Are there any sort of favorite ones that you go to, or what?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's simple things. I remember another teacher, another coach I interviewed. This was about taking opportunities, no? And he took a $50 bill and he put on the front of the class with blue tack, okay? And he asked to the class, okay, who is responsible for this $50 bill to be there? So the people started, okay, the government who print the bill, you who put that in the blackboard, the humans who create the money, and one person say, I think I am responsible. Can I take it? Okay, so this person went to the front of the class and took the bill, and this was the lesson. I mean, sometimes we think that there are many opportunities in the world around us, and we don't take because we don't think that they are for us or that we are not responsible for that. So it was also a very impressive experience. In just 10 minutes, just put a $50 bill there. You're done. I mean, you don't have to create something complex or
that's
complicated.
No, absolutely not. That's really simple, but that aha moment, when everyone heard that guy say, I'm responsible, they're like, damn it, I should have, because that's the thing, him saying that opened the door to the opportunity.
Exactly. And on all the people, because then they were talking about excuses. So all the people the facilitator was saying, okay, you will have many excuses now for not going like this guy to the front of the class. So what are those excuses that you are telling now? So you can continue the exercise the whole day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even thinking on that example, how everyone looks for deeper meaning a lot of the time. And sometimes the answer, you don't need to search. It's just right there in front of you. Just go take it.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's super powerful. Nice. Okay, thanks for sharing that one. That's really good. How else do you prepare for upcoming workshops? So what's your strategy? And in terms of your workshop delivery, do you have a certain suite of products and workshops that you deliver, or do you have to create new workshop material? Like, what's the balance for you?
I mean, I most of my workshops are internal trainings for teaching, or to train the new employees about how to use the products, how to sell to the surgeons or to the hospital's administration. So most of them, they are very similar, but we are. I'm talking about we because there is a team of facilitators in Europe, and we are always talking about what is something new that we can add, or if there is something new content that we can include, or new exercises. So we evaluate the past one and we adjust a little bit. But doing this every year, it allows you to improve little by little, and also depending on the profile of the participants, you can adjust the level or focus more in the sales part, or focus more in the practice. It depends. I mean, we usually spend like 2 days refocusing the workshop but it's already done. And then when I do external workshops, I prepare from the scratch depending on the needs of the company or the person who is hiring.
Yeah. So how are you balancing at the moment? So you've got your internal job, but you're also working externally and doing some external stuff. How are you balancing that? The reason I ask that is there's a lot of people that I hear listening to the show that are working internally, but they want to do some external work, maybe leave. Yeah. How are you managing that?
Yeah, I mean, I have like a double identity.
You do. You
So,
like, yeah.
yeah. During the day, I do sales and marketing in a big American company, but this is also my experimentation field because I use my colleagues, I use all my mates to play to try something new in a presentation, to include music in the WebEx or whatever. So I play with them, and also in the night I write the blog and I prepare the interviews. And I prepare this kind of workshop, but this kind of workshop I mean, for me, stay with my family is very important. So I don't take time from my weekends. Only I dedicate like 10% for those external activities or workshops. So during the year, I only do a few conferences or only a few workshops because I don't want to stress myself because so for me this is like a hobby and I want to keep enjoying that.
Yeah, I hear you. You sound exactly like me when I was working in corporate and balancing both. I was very lucky to drop to a 9-day fortnight, so every second Friday I had off. Thank goodness, because it was really hard to balance and get some sleep and be present for my family. And all, it's hard it's tricky to balance, but it's nice. And then I also felt sometimes with my work, I'd see what I was doing and then maybe there was like a conflict event. It was hard to navigate both and live the double life because sometimes they'd like fall on each other.
Yeah, and also many people ask me, how do you have time for doing all this? But I don't see Netflix. So if you don't see TV series and you are not spending too much time in the social networks, you have like 2 hours per day or 3 hours per day. I mean, many people lose their time doing nothing in like this. So, I mean, it's up to you.
Just a question. Have you done the Clifton Strengths Finder tool?
No.
Clifton Strengths. Okay, because what you're saying reminds me of one of my strengths, which is maximizer. So it's like every opportunity, use the time effectively, and yeah. So I'll be interested. I'll send you the link after. Be interesting to see what your top 5 are.
Yeah.
So, and in terms of your workshop delivery, the morning of a workshop, how do you prepare for it? How do you get yourself ready to deliver a really great experience?
Yeah, first of all, I try to sleep well. I mean, usually as I travel abroad, I mean, I go to Switzerland. I have a good night because here at home, I have always my children at night waking me. So I always travel the day before to have a good night. And then I have a light breakfast. And I try always to be early in the place before the workshop. And I have checked that everything is ready. Also, we are working with big machines, so we have there like an operating room. So we have to try everything that everything is ready. And then sometimes I go to the bathroom. I put my music on to the top, and I relax myself. And this is how I get the energy.
Awesome. And with these, this is what I love hearing. And you spoke about it in the message that you left on my episode 101 about there's no excuse for any training to be boring. And so you're talking about medical machinery and you're making this experience exciting. So how do you give people that excitement? Because they're walking in thinking, like if they haven't met you before or been in one of your workshops, they're thinking, it's just another medical training session. We've got new machinery. Great. Like I'm sure they're not so excited beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm very lucky because those are new employees many of the times. So when you are hired as a new employee, you want to do your best to learn. So, I mean, in that way, I only have a few difficult participants, but in general, they are very collaborative in that way. But what we try always is to make as practical as possible. So reduce to the minimum the content that we have to deliver. If there is something to read, we send that in advance. So in this way, we have time to play in the room, during the workshop, to play, discuss, make exercises, debriefing. So to have them 100% of the time participating.
Yeah, there is something to say about new starters in organizations. They're so interested and keen. They're coming in with fresh eyes. They want to make an impact because they're new. So yeah, it is a good.
Yeah, sometimes you have people who is also moving their role in the company, and sometimes they are the most difficult because they think that they already know about selling, about all the skills that they already have. Okay, sometimes you have to play, but I always think that if you have these experienced people in the room, you are very lucky as facilitator, because you have a second facilitator with you. So if you can take in your advantage, ask him to or her to for showing cases or examples of past experience. So this is the best that it can happen to you if you are able to take advantage of having these people in the room.
I think that's such a great strategy that I discovered quite early on in my facilitation career, is if you have someone in the room that has all that experience, it has 30 years of leadership. It's like, I never used this language before, but what you said is like they can be the second facilitator. I mean, it's
your co-pilot. Yeah.
Oh, so cool.
You can tell something. Okay, what do you think, Brian? Do you agree with that? It is your experience in your years of experience? So, I mean, they feel that they have a role and they are engaged to participate and to share. So they are not thinking this is only for new people. I don't have nothing to say here. Yeah. And you say it was pretty well, yeah.
Brilliant. Co-pilot. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, so just with, so you run sales training. I'm just interested in this. Again, a lot of facilitators listening to the show are trying to build their service-based business and get more clients. What is a tip or something, maybe even something that you see in sales where things can go, they're doing something wrong, they're not making a sale, or some kind of tip that you could share with our listeners on how to get more sales?
I mean, one of the things, because I also hire facilitators for training my team, is to specialize. I mean, when you start, you are trying to do everything and you offer all the services and you know about everything, but at the end you need to specialize in something. Because when I'm thinking about doing some training about public speaking, there's only one person who comes to my mind. For example, in LinkedIn, I have many contacts, and for some topics, I have this person. And this is what you have to get. I mean, to get the people to recognize you for something. Because if you are doing everything, it's very difficult that people will remember you when they need you. So my recommendation would be to try. At the beginning, you have to try to know what you like. But after you have tried, you have to choose and specialize as much as possible and be the best in that field.
Yeah, it sort of echoes what our favorite guy Pat Flynn says: the riches are in the niches.
Yeah.
Although we say niche.
Yeah.
That's really good advice. And something I'm still trying to work on is like what I want to really specialize and be the best on. So thank you for that. There was a really great thread in the Flipchart. Someone asked the question about how do we run these great experiences. People are excited in our workshops. Then they go back to the real world and they may not make that behavior change. And oh my gosh, you just posted so many amazing ideas about how we can make training sticky. Would you like to share a couple of those with our listeners? They were just super impressive and very helpful.
Yeah. I mean, for me, what is incredible is not having an action plan. It is not so incredible because I started like that. Yeah. Because I was delivering the training and give me the evaluation form. Thank you. Goodbye. But now I think it's totally necessary to have an action plan. An action plan is just give them the time and a paper to put, okay, what are the tasks or the things that you are going to do, when you are going to do that, what barriers or what resources do you need for complete that goal, and also what is your expected result or what is your KPI, your indicator that you are successful. And in this way, the participant goes home with a clear plan, and you can track. And sometimes you can track socially, so you can create a Telegram group or a Facebook group or whatever group in WhatsApp, and you can create pairs, accountability buddies to follow each other. Or even if you are giving that service, you can call or make a call after 1 month to track the plans or to check the action plans of the people, or go or give those action plans to their managers. I mean, you can do in many ways, but you need some compromise from the participants to do after the workshop.
Yeah,
the only way to apply the learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Some kind of commitment. And I like when you talk about the action plan, because usually I see, and this is what I'll work on, a deadline. That's usually quite standard. But the fact that you mention what are the barriers and what resources will you need, I think that's huge. So, because even because you might have a target, but then one of the first steps might be, well, actually talking to my manager about the support that I need to make this happen. So that's even making it more realistic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's so that you can learn something, but if you don't have the environment to apply that learning in your company, you are totally lost. I mean, you are not going to be able to apply, and you will get only frustration.
Yeah, and we often see that, and a lot of people sort of go, well, I can't have, and back to that excuses thing, kind of linking to the $50 note example, is we're so busy focusing on all the excuses on why things can't happen, but how do we take control?
But sometimes there are real excuses. I mean, if you are delivering training about safety, but you are not giving the safety protections to the people. So, okay, you are telling me that I have to put my glasses and I don't have glasses. What is this? But it happens. It happens with other fields, but it happens like that.
It totally happens. It does.
Yeah.
And that's I guess it's a hard thing as a facilitator as well, is we're trying to bring in like, this is the ideal and this is what the research says and this is all the great stuff. But on the ground, what they're facing is really hard. And I do sometimes in workshops, but you can sense that frustration. People want to do the great stuff, but as you said, there's just like these annoying kind of roadblocks and limitations, and it's tricky. It's kind of why I got out of corporate, to be honest.
Yeah. No, but the one idea, some other ideas about having this action plan is having something to stick. So I think in the group we were talking about delivering or giving some present to the participants, like a plant, or you can give a bonsai to the manager. So whatever they have to take care of the bonsai, they will remember the training and they will remember that they have to develop their team, and they will start again to engage in that moment. Or even you can stick the people to a song. If during the workshop you are always playing a song, so whenever you are losing motivation, put this song and remember what we have learned. I mean, there are many things that you can do.
Yeah, that's called like anchoring.
Exactly.
Yeah, fantastic. So what do you think are, like, if you had to pick a few certain skills that great facilitators and great trainers have, what do you think those skills would be?
I mean, one of course is learn to learn. I think is one of the key. I mean, facilitation. I love this profession because it's probably one of the most challenges, because you always have to learn new things, new theories, and new games, new exercises. So learn to learn. I mean, be able to learn fast and apply and unlearn something that you were believing that it was true and now it is not longer true. So this is very, very important. And the other is marketing and selling, because I have many listeners and people who write me telling I'm a good facilitator, but as I don't have customers, I have to leave this facilitation work because I don't have enough money to fill my fridge at home. So this is very sad.
Yeah.
But and also for some facilitators or for some trainers, I noticed that marketing is still something dirty. It's about money. It's about getting rich. But it is about servicing. So you need to change that mind and start to think about selling just for serving more people. It's the only way to do what you love, if you like facilitating.
Yeah, and to keep the fridge full as well.
And that's so important.
Well, it's funny because you got that Seth Godin's book, This Is Marketing, in your background. I love Seth Godin, and he's got an awesome, I don't know, have you listened to his podcast, Startup School?
No, I'm now with Akimbo, but I didn't listen.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. It's like 13 episodes, and every week it's like a lecture. It's free. It's on every podcast player. But he says it's not good enough to be the best at what you do. Like, if you're the best facilitator, it doesn't matter if no one knows about it. And I think that's a challenge. And I think I've certainly discovered, being in business as well, it's one thing to be good at your craft. You have to be great at what you do. That's fine, but that's not what's going to get you business. It's about serving. It's about building relationships. And it's interesting hearing a lot of people outsource their marketing. And I could never do that. What are your thoughts on that, outsourcing marketing?
I mean, when you understand that marketing is serving, like Seth, it's telling to us, You change your mind. I mean, because you start to think in other ways. I think you need to outsource those things that don't add value to your customers or to your listeners or to your clients. So at the end, you can automatize certain things. You can outsource some activities, but the core, I mean, how you serve your people is in your own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or obviously, if you grow, you will need a team, but at the end, it's in the team, this knowledge and this service.
Yeah, I think you and I should chat again, maybe sometime on Facebook Live or something, and talk more about marketing strategies, because I'm certainly getting a lot of questions at the moment as well from facilitators reaching out. And
but this question about marketing is like actually with the social networks. I hate social networks. I don't like.
Hey, you're always on them.
But I mean, I am there because I found that this is the best way to create relationships that matters, like the one that we are having now. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's a pain, a necessary pain that I have to suffer to be today with you, for example.
Yeah.
So many of the opportunities, laboral opportunities, and also for doing these workshops are all of them coming from the social network. So even if you don't like, you need to be present there and serve your people there.
Yeah, and that's absolutely what you've done. And that's how this conversation has happened, is you've jumped on the Flipchart, you've just served, you've added so much value. I was like, who is this guy? And then to hear that you don't even like social media, it's like, that's awesome. I actually love that. Something that you don't like, but you actually, maybe, I don't know how you manage your time with it. Something that I'm learning is to sort of batch, and maybe, an hour a day is hopping on the networks, responding, and that's it, rather than all through the day getting on there and scroll, endlessly scroll.
I try to put all the time together during the day. Usually 2 days per week. I do like that, and sometimes I automatize some publications directly to, for example, in LinkedIn. I used to write a lot, and I was doing during the weekend and automatize the publication with tools like Metricool or Buffer. You can use this automation tools.
Yeah, fantastic. Pat Flynn would give you a high five. You saying that?
Yeah.
So just quickly going back on your first time on your facilitation journey after that first workshop, where you were 100% of my time is spent speaking. You mentioned, I just want to quickly find out, what kind of resources did you look for? You mentioned you tried things like storytelling, you read books. What stands out as a resource? That's another question I get asked a lot from first-time facilitators, is what's a really great resource, a book, something that will really help me build my skills?
Yeah. For me, I mean, I learn a lot from books because I like reading and I like to apply what I read. So for me, books are a very big source of inspiration and also information. But also you need to do workshops. I mean, every year I have some money only for training myself. So I think in the same way that you, at the beginning of the year, you propose yourself to train, make harder, you need to put that money to say, okay, what I'm going to learn this year. And even it's a little money, but you need to invest in yourself and develop yourself. Don't think that your company is going to develop you or whatever. You have to be responsible for that.
Oh, thank you. That's something that I often faced in my old organization, is a lot of the time, because I worked in learning and development, and a lot of people would come and see me and go, oh, look, this hasn't been approved. And you're absolutely right. You've got to be more intentional about it and seek it out. What I'm thinking of going to.
But in any kind of work, I mean, I have colleagues that say, okay, I'm not getting the feed. I mean, the support from the company to be trained in this, whatever you can do. And you say, okay, pay yourself. Why are you waiting the company to that? If this is what you want to do, if it is the way that you want to develop, pay yourself. If it is 10,000 euros, pay yourself. I mean,
absolutely.
You cannot wait to anyone to give that you need to develop if you think that this is your time.
Yeah. Have you heard of Jim Rohn? ROHN. He was a big motivational US speaker back in the. He's dead now, unfortunately. I love his stuff. I love his content, but he talks about how you get more, how to be more valuable to the marketplace. And this is one way, is actually just investing in yourself. If you want to get paid more, if you want to get more opportunities, you've got to invest in yourself and seek them out and not wait.
Yeah, and there are people who spend more in having their car clean and in the insurance company for the car than in themselves in training and education. So, what is the balance? What is going to give you more opportunities in your life? Having a good car, a beautiful car, always clean, or your training.
Yeah, don't ask me about my car, but I'm putting my money into training and development. I'm thinking of going to, I'd love to get to FlynnCon this year in San Diego. I think that'd be an awesome conference. Really, I kind of want to go there because I want to go to Mexico, but it's a good, San Diego's nice and close. So I thought, I could combine two things. What skills are you looking to build this year?
The podcast I'm listening now? You mean?
What skills are you looking to build? Oh, yeah. What podcasts are you listening? Yeah. What podcasts are you listening to?
Okay. So no. The skills. About the skills, I want to be more present on video. I am still a very shy person in front of the video, but I think video is key also for online learning. And this year I will do a training with training from the back of the room. Do you know Sharon Bowman?
I have heard of it. Yeah, training. Put a link to that in the show notes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is a fantastic woman with tons of ideas and this kind of style of facilitating through games. And I will do a workshop in Germany in May. So I will be able to start in this way also in Spain with this kind of trainings. So this is my point for this year, and also to continue with the online courses.
That's awesome. Hey, that's really exciting. And let's keep in touch about online courses. We got a lot of overlap here because video is something, and that's why Juanda and I put ourselves out of our comfort zone. We're both appearing on video today, but this is a good start, right? This is how you get experience and confidence.
It's the only way.
And look, you're fine on camera, so don't worry about it. You'll be all right. Yeah, it's just getting that motivation and just clicking record, and it's tough. Video is tough.
Yeah. But I mean, I just say when you say to me, I want to record in video, okay, say, okay, let's go. There's no need to do it. I don't think. Let's go. Because if you want to learn, you have to practice. It's the only way.
Well, even when I wrote that sentence, I was like, can I really be bothered? And then I'm like, just do it. Just do it. Because there's real value in it, I think. And it's nice to give our listeners a bit of a different medium if they prefer the visual over the audio. So, Juanda, thank you so much for your time today. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners before we end the call?
Just to listen to your podcast and take notes and apply what they learn.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Sometimes I re-listen to some episodes. It's funny. You're a podcast interviewer yourself. When you re-listen to a podcast, you're like, it feels like it's the first time I heard something, or something will stand out more than it did during an initial interview. So, I think that's great to take notes and take action. Thank you so much for all of your insight today and for staying up so late. I know it's the evening over there, quite late. You need to go to sleep. Hopefully you don't get interrupted tonight. If people would like to find out more about your work and what you do, where can we send them?
They can go to learninglegendario.com or in LinkedIn. I'm always there around, so in any of those places.
And your favorite social networks as well. Fantastic. It's been wonderful talking to you, and thanks for sharing everything you've got, both on this interview and on the Flipchart as well. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks to you, Leanne, for this initiative, and continue another 100 episodes.
Yes. Thank you. And you too. Have you hit the 100?